Welcome to Sopranos Blueprint. And welcome back to those of you who've been here before. And today's video is going to be about the Sopranos ducks. What is there, some duck mafia or something?
They're little babies.
And speaking of new babies, in the pilot episode, I think it's pretty clear that AJ and Meadow still fit into the little ducks category.
On the lookout for ducks, Dad?
What did the other little ducks that were already living in the house think of these new babies?
National Geographic, Dad.
Well, Meadow wasn't really into it. And it makes me think of a jealous older sibling when parents bring home a new baby. The older sibling gets annoyed because the new baby's getting all the attention and affection. And I think we can see this here in a symbolic way, of course.
It was special, them coming here, huh? What'd you think?
In college, Meadow's Tony's little duck. Simple enough, but that's not all. It was his guardian angel, Meadow, who protected him when he almost got shot. Sometimes the roles are reversed, as many of us know, when it comes to parents and their children.
Dad, you're being honest with me, right?
Another little duck, Irina.
Don't give him that shit.
Tony even tells Dr. Melfi that he feels bad for the poor kid. He shows up to the hospital. He wants to help her get a new job.
Family of Malice lived in my pool for 2 fucking months.
He wants to make sure that she can fly on her own. Now, whether she actually can or not is another story.
Get all of your academic and extracurricular ducks in a row.
At the beginning of season 4, it appears that Tony believes he's getting a visit from the ducks. He gets all excited all of a sudden, but then, sure enough, it's just a squirrel. Maybe another time.
All the ducks, they've flown south.
Sometimes good intentions can have unintended consequences, like when the bird feed that Tony bought probably attracted the bear that we meet at the beginning of season 5, putting aside the whole Tony being the bear idea.
The ranger, whatever, said it was your duck food out there that attracted it.
And when Tony gets this food here, we're at the beginning of season 4. So the ducks really haven't been back to their pool for about 4 years. And it's also not even duck season, like the person tells Tony. The ducks have already flown south for the winter. And so Tony getting this duck food, just in case, it's almost like his way of holding on to the ducks, even if by now they're long gone. It makes me think of Bobby Baccalieri when he takes the cake to Karen's grave as a way of holding on to her.
Karen Seedy. It's the last one she made.
And in terms of holding on to things, I think that's why Tony was so taken aback when he saw that the pool had been drained in season 5 while he and Carmela were separated. To him, that was like her further erasing the ducks.
Now, what about Christopher? One of Tony's other ducks. He didn't seem very happy when Christopher flew away to California.
But Ma couldn't stand that as her babies got older, they separated from her.
Janice tells Carmela that Sandy, her therapist, told her that it wasn't that Livia didn't love them when they were kids. It's just that when they were babies, everything was fine. But as they got older and they started to have their own thoughts, that's when the trouble started.
Don't you ever tell me no.
And I think we can see that right here.
Babies are like animals.
I think that Tony is less afraid of animals. When it comes to people, and perhaps especially even people within his own human family, he's afraid to really just be. Perhaps that's the source of some of his anxiety. But when it comes to ducks and other animals, Tony can let his guard down. If you think about when Janice tells Carmela that when we were babies, everything was fine. So perhaps seeing the mother ducks with her babies in the pool reminded Tony of a better time in his own life with his parents and siblings.
You got a backyard? A pool? Dump it there.
I wonder if Tony thought of the ducks at all when Phil mentioned dumping the asbestos into the pool. Poor ducks. Then we have an almost 180-degree contrast from the pilot, where Tony panics over the ducks flying away. The ducks flying away symbolized his fear of losing his family. Then later on, towards the very end of the series, season 6, episode 19, The Second Coming, we have AJ trying to essentially trap himself down in that very pool forever. Just like Tony went into the pool with his robe on in the pilot, He went in fully clothed in the second coming. When Tony drained the pool, it was like the shutting down of this place of emotion where he'd also let his guard down to something that was now closed off, that nobody could reach, because there was just too much risk of getting hurt or of something bad happening, whether it's the ducks making a home in the pool and then leaving, or AJ trying to hold himself down there permanently.
When the episode opens, we see a big pile of garbage. I think the garbage really illustrates the idea that things get mixed and exposed, just like those chemicals that got dumped into the water may affect the wildlife and the animals that live in that water. Certainly, if there were any of those ducks in that pond, I don't think they'd be doing very well. I wonder if Tony thinks about that. Does he think about how his way of life, how what he does affects the little ducks in his house? Nothing is separate, everything is connected, as our friend John Schwinn tells us.
So for comparison purposes, if we look at the ducks in the pool in season 1 versus the ducks here in season 5, everything surrounding it, the situation with Adriana and the FBI and Agent San Severino.
You know, Tony had ducks one time.
There's one adult duck who would love to fly away, but she's held back by other variables that are keeping her stuck here.
Sooner or later, we're gonna get out from under all this shit and leave this fucking state.
Just like Carmela Soprano says, everything comes to an end, including the ducks making their little home in the Soprano pool and the mother duck raising her little babies. Soon enough, they're big enough to fly away. Eventually, they'll have their own little ducklings, and the cycle continues. And eventually, at some point, it ends. It's sad. It's heartbreaking. But that's what comes with the territory. Loving others, whether humans or animals, it means inevitable loss and grief. There's a yin and yang. Love and loss, happiness and pain. Life comes with a full package. And we see that here with these ducks. When I first watched The Sopranos, it was right at the start of the COVID pandemic. So the idea of losing one's family, it wasn't this irrational, paranoid fear. You didn't have to be a mob boss to worry that you're going to lose your family. Whether it's your family at home, whatever family means to you. I think it's fair to say we could all be ducks with unique duck families of our own, however large or small.
Over the hills and far away.
Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this latest video. What do you think about the ducks on The Sopranos, or the duck symbolism as a whole? I'd love to hear from you.